Hello, in this video I am going to show you how to set up Cocos2d-x on a Linux machine. I'm going to be using Ubuntu, but you can use any Linux machine. So on a Linux machine and create a project so you can develop for Android using Android Studio. Okay, so there's a couple of things that you need to download first. So open up your web browser. First of all, download Cocos2d-x. So I'll provide a link to the official website. Go to downloads and then scroll down, then just download the latest version. So this one right here, you'll start downloading. I'm going to cancel it because I've already got it downloaded. Next, we want to download Android Studio. And let's go to this link here. Again, I will provide a link to everything that you need. Click download Android Studio. Accept the terms and conditions, and again I'm going to cancel it because I've already got it downloaded, but obviously you'll need to download it. Python is already installed on Linux distros, or it should be, so you should be able to go from a Python perspective. You can just make sure by just typing in Python like so, and we need version 2. Okay, so I'm going to just get out of this for now, and we'll need terminal in a second. But what you want to do is go to where you downloaded everything and extract them. So literally just, I'm going to open with Archive Manager, extract. And obviously if you're using a different Linux distro, just extract it whichever method that you prefer. I'm going to extract Android Studio as well. So extract to, there we go. So this shouldn't take too long to extract either. Okie dokie. Yep, okay, so that is now done. Fantastic. What we're going to do is rename Cocos2d-x. I want this renamed to just do the Cocos2d-x folder. I prefer it without the version number, because if you want to know what version's in there, you can just go here and check out the changelog. But prefer it's just easy to refer to it. Same with Android Studio as well. So let's rename that from Android. It doesn't really matter if there's space, but just to make sure of 100% compatibility, just in case something needs without space, just put a dash. And I'm going to cut these and put them, so now what you want to do is put them in the more permanent location, because the projects, when we create them, and everything's going to be referring to this location. So I'm just going to put them in documents, got a folder called development, and I'm going to paste them there. So now that they are here, let's set up Cocos2d-x. So if we open up our terminal, and I'm going to say cd Cocos2d-x, type ls, there's a file called setup.py. And you can see it in here as well. I'll snap this over. Can't let me snap it for some reason. Forget it. It doesn't want to let me snap it. And I want to just run that setup.py file. To run it, /setup.py. Okay, so what you'll get is it will check for some environment variables. For you, it will probably won't find anything because the first time you're running it. For me, it found it, it's updated it because I had it based in a different directory initially. Now it's asking for the NDK root. Ignore that. We are going to do all of this via Android Studio. Ignore the Android SDK root. We're going to do it via Android Studio. So click enter, and all you need to do is copy this now and run this command. Ooh, no. Paste. There we go, click enter, and that's it. So to make sure that Cocos2d-x is working, did I click enter? What do I have now? I'm going to clear the screen, and if I just type in the keyword Cocos, it should come up with something like this. If this all comes up, fantastic. If not, just close down your terminal and reopen it. If that doesn't fix it, just give the computer a restart. And again, if that doesn't fix it, pop me a message and we'll, troubleshoot it, and we'll figure out a way to get it to work. But this should work like this. Okay, so now we're going to create a project. And for more information about, the specifics of the parameters that you can pass when you're creating a Cocos project via the terminal, feel free to check out the official Cocos website, but I'll show you the basics right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the desktop. So cd, I need to go back. Yeah, I can go into the desktop now. Okay, we're in the desktop. I'm going to create a project here. To create one, you type in Cocos, then new, then the project name. So I'm just going to say Epic Project, then -L, then the language for CPP in this case, which is C++. Could do Lua, LUA, or JS or JavaScript. Click enter, and it will create it, and that is done. So it's really fast to create it, I find, on Linux computers. Now, before we actually proceed, what we want to do is set up Android Studio. So if I go to Epic Project, so we got all of this now, but before we do anything in here with Cocos, we need to set up Android Studio. So to do that, go to let's go to our download folder, not documents, yeah, development, Android Studio. So I want to CD into this folder right here. And from here, we want to launch the studio.sh. So just do /studio.sh. So ignore any sort of stuff like this that may appear. And for you, it will be slightly different. It will be a first time setup window that will just take you through the steps. Just click continue, and then once you've gone through all that, it'll get you to this. But it's just self-explanatory stuff. And okay, so once we're here, you want to go to configure, SDK manager, and you want to select the latest version, unless you know you're developing for another one. And so I've already got Pi installed. Don't need to download the newer version because I've already got this one, but you can do if you want to. And then go to SDK tools. Make sure you've got everything selected that I have. So tick all of these. So SDK, build tools, CMake, Android Emulator, SDK platform tools, SDK tools, and NDK, all of the support repository. Once you do that, what you'll basically get is I'll select this because this isn't installed. You get this apply button, you click apply, it'll ask you to download it, you click OK. Your thing's going to be a lot longer because you will have all the other packages. But then once that's done, you click OK, and I would recommend just restarting Android Studio. And the problem is, every time you want to launch Android Studio, you have to CD into this directory and launch this up. So before we move any further, let's create a shortcut. So I've got a shortcut right here, and let me show you what you need to do. I'm going to open this with in Sublime. So open file on the desktop. Okay, so what you need is, say desktop entry. You can version it, say version 1 initially. Also, a type it is application. So remember, you need to launch up terminal. So if you put terminal equals false, it just means when you launch up Android Studio, you just won't have terminal in the background running unless you need to. I'll say set this to false. Now for the icon, what I did was I set the icon to this studio.png. So if you literally, I just went back. If you literally just copy that here, you'll get studio.png. And here is where you want to put the studio.sh file that we've been running, which is here. So right click that, copy that, and paste that here. And for the name is what you want it to appear as. And then when you save it, you want to save it as something.desktop. So I put Android Studio.desktop. Now I can close this down and organize desktop by name. Now what you want to do is actually open up the terminal on your desktop, because you'll need to apply a chmod to this. So we'll say chmod. I'm just going to apply 777 to all of it. So me, all of the users, and everyone else in the group can read, write, and execute it. Obviously, if you want to do certain permissions, feel free to change that. And again, I just want to do it on here, like so. Now that means it can be executed. The first time you actually open it, you'll say it's from a untrusted source. Do you want to continue? Just click yes. Okay, so as you can see, it is launching up from a shortcut, which is just fantastic. Okay, so now what we're going to do is close this down, And once we've installed everything else, go to open an existing Android Studio project, go to desktop, your project, project.android, click OK. This will load up the project, close the tip down. You'll start doing the syncing. It may start downloading something in here. If it does, that's fine, because I've run Android Studio before. Certain steps may not occur, in the background, and it will be quicker on my machine. But that's just because I've done it before. Once it's all done, I'll say wait till all this is done as well. We'll fix this error in a second. So now that's all done, we're going to fix this error. Really easy to fix. Go to Gradle scripts, Gradle wrapper properties, and change this version to 3.4. Find the version that they supply by default does not work, so click try again. For you, it is going to download it because this will be the first time you're doing it. For me, I didn't have to download it because I've already got it. But again, once it's all done for you, you'll get to this stage, click upgrade plugin, click that. And again, it will start downloading a newer version. It's going to be quick for me because I've already done it. But again, once it's all done, we'll get to the same screen. And okay, this is fine now. This is a warning. We don't care about that. It's the errors that we wanted to fix, and we fixed all the errors. So again, we just want to make sure we wait for all of these background tasks to finish, because once these background tasks have finished, what you'll see is this will reload and we'll get some play buttons that actually work. So if we just wait a moment, depending on your system, it may take a little longer. Okay, there we go. That's all done now. You can actually close Gradle properties, and we don't need to concern ourselves with this anymore. Now you want to go to is it Gradle? Yep, you want to go to Gradle.properties. And here, you want to change the actual architecture. We just want to support all architecture. So literally just copy this, paste it onto here, like so. That will support all architecture now. Click sync now. And once that's all done, and all of this has successfully done all the background tasks, that's all good. If you know you specifically need a certain architecture, feel free to just add that one. Otherwise, just support all of them. Now, before we run it, we just need to create a emulator, or you can connect a physical device as long as it's in developer mode and running on that. And so to create a device, go to AVD Manager, and I'm literally going to delete this device so I can show you from scratch how to do it. Create virtual device, select any template you want, on select Pixel 2, click next, and I've already got an image right here installed. For some reason it's not coming up in the recommended, even though it's in x86. If for some reason there isn't one installed anywhere at all, just select the latest version, let's say Q or Pi or whichever one. Once you click download, it will start downloading it, and once this is successful, then this will be usable. But because I've already got one, I'm just going to select that. So select it, go to next. Now you can just put a name for your emulator, do some other basic properties like you want to do hardware or software emulation, portrait or landscape mode for default, how much RAM you want to provide, SD card memory, all that stuff. Really cool stuff. And I'm going to leave it as default. Click finish, and now we can just click the play button and run it. And, okay, for some reason I haven't got one. I did have one, so just click install if this comes up. So I'm just going to click install. Okay, that's a bit bigger than I was hoping for, but shouldn't take long. The speed's pretty decent. Okay, just make sure you install the Android emulator via the SDK tools that I showed you earlier on. And for some reason it's saying mine doesn't have it, but again, it'll actually warn you or start installing the stuff. So even if there's something that's missing, don't worry, it will download it for you. So this shouldn't take too long. And once this is done, we are actually at the point and ready to run the application on our device. Honestly, I've had the best experience running Cocos for Android Studio on Linux. It's going to be because it is closer to the kernel, because Android is a Linux-based kernel, Ubuntu is a Linux-based kernel, or some other, Linux distro that you may use. Windows, I have the most problems with, trying to figure it out to create the video, and it took the most amount of time as well. I just found, because again, it's not the same kernel, things just took longer. Like the emulator is silky smooth on my Linux machine for my Android emulator. I remember when the emulator used to be so slow, like really slow. Now it's like really fast. It's even faster, I would say, than the iPhone emulator or the iPad emulator, the iOS emulator on Mac, and that is silky smooth. So I've been really impressed for doing development for Android Studio for Cocos2d-x on a Linux-based machine. Okay, that's done. Click finish. Okay, already pressed it. We can close this down now. This may take a few moments to run, depending on what sort of computer you got. But because this is just going through the first time process of essentially launching up a a phone as you naturally would. And afterwards, when you close it, just click the X here. This will put it into a sleep mode, so it opens very fast. And as you can see, it is running silky smooth. And it was actually running a little smoother when I wasn't even recording, because I'm recording, this tutorial, but still very smooth. Now we can actually run. So click play, select the connected device or emulator, click OK. So this will start going through the process of building our application now. So go to build output. It is in the process of running the task, and that's literally just going through building everything. The first time you do this, it will take quite a long time, just because it is going through and building and compiling every single Cocos2d-x file. But after you've done it once, because when you rerun it, or even if you run it fresh, it only needs to compile the files that you've added or changed. Things will be a lot quicker. So again, just be patient, and depending on what sort of computer you have, it may take anywhere between like a couple of minutes to 5-10 minutes potentially for the first time. For me, it's gonna be a little bit slower because I am recording a video, but again, let's just be patient. Okay, so the build is finished now, and as you can see, it launched it up into our emulator, and that's it. That's all you need to know. It's all running now. it's all set up. And one last thing, if you want to modify the files as you naturally would, you go to Epic Project, or whatever your project name is, CPP. Go to My Game, Classes, and there are your files. So if you go to Hello World Scene, and I'm just going to modify it, so instead of it saying Hello World, it will say, where is it? Here we go. I'll put Hello World smiley face. And you can rerun it, and this won't take very long because you only compile that file, or you can just do an instant reload. So if I click that, this won't even close the application down. It will literally just essentially just quickly boot it up. So this is fantastic. This is what I love about Android Studio. And that's it. That's how you set up Cocos2d-x on a Linux-based machine such as Ubuntu for Android Studio. If you have any questions, feel free to pop me a message, and as usual, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.